Thanks so much for staying with us on this Wednesday morning. I'm Michelle Craig. Let's hone in on that last headline story there. The ANC says Ace Magashule will remain in his position for now. That's despite the party's Integrity Commission recommending that he step aside until he's been cleared of the corruption charges he faces. Now, the ANC says the recommendation has yet to reach its National Executive Committee and, in fact, had been leaked. Let's unpack the story now. We're joined by political analyst Professor Barry Hanyane. He joins us from Potchefstroom this morning. Professor, good morning once again. Thanks so much for joining us on this Reconciliation Day. I mean, look, at this stage, I think many South Africans have lost track of the toing and froing on the Ace Magashule issue within the ANC. Suffice to say that this was a missed opportunity for the party to act decisively, as it said it would, against corruption.
Michelle, good morning. Good morning to your viewers. Well, it doesn't really surprise me that we are at this stalemate. We were somewhat anticipating that the so-called Integrity Commission will not give clear guidance. And on the other hand, there's the suspicion that from the onset, there was some form of Stalingrad approach by the Secretary General, and of course, using the space that is offered by the Integrity Commission to actually test the veracity of how it functions and the evidence presented before it. And it has showed that for some reason, there is somewhat of an emerging narrative here, and that is of inconsistency, of lack of power, of lack of some kind of influence when it comes to making decisions. For the mere fact that a recommendation has been put forth for the NEC to consider suggests very strongly that here lies a structure that is somewhat weaker than one would expect that such a structure should be powerful in a governing party such as the ANC.
Yeah, and you call it the so-called Integrity Commission. And, you know, I think most certainly even ordinary South Africans who aren't political analysts in their own right are getting the sense now that this Integrity Commission was a way of allaying the fears of people who were afraid that the party was not acting decisively on corruption and other issues. And so this body was formed, but with no real power.
True that. And the worst case scenario you can think of is when the same Integrity Commission is somewhat franchised to your provinces. Recently, you have the situation KZN, where Madame Gumede has now been given the green light to go and serve in positions that she was in a couple of months back. And that, for me, reflects the lack of the national consistency of the footprint that this commission should enjoy. And, of course, get respect in turn within the ANC structures. My suspicion further is that you are sitting with a structure that perhaps lacks capacity, perhaps lacks some form of expertise, and leadership built within. It also, on a broader scheme of things, tells us that here lies a party that has lost an opportunity to modernize and make sure that it consolidates its power within in terms of creating effective and efficient structures.
Look, let's unpack the story insofar as it relates to local government elections next year. Can the ANC act decisively on people like Ace Magashule and who you just mentioned now, Zandile Gumede, who has now been given the all clear by the KZN Integrity Commission to resume her duties? Can the party act decisively on these two individuals without forfeiting its gains in the local government elections next year, or putting it at serious risk at least?
Well, I think there's this soft arrogance from the ANC that says we are already a majority party. We enjoy enormous support on the ground, despite the difficulties and the challenges that they experience. However, things might change as years go by. Let's not forget the constitutional ruling that now allows independent candidates to participate in the forthcoming 2024 elections. But your question is more focused on local government. What about the new players who are coming on board? In provinces like Gauteng, one would anticipate that Action SA might compete fairly well, not necessarily take the metro outright. You will experience hung municipalities in metros. I think for the first time, the ANC is likely to be challenged by your other opposition parties, not as what your democratic practice would otherwise dictate, that it must be a fierce contestation and a competitive election. I think the ANC will continue to enjoy, but let's not forget, there are challenges within the ANC. And it's up to the ANC to then say, how do we track back the confidence that we enjoyed in yesteryear? How then do we pull in all those voters who perhaps were on the fringes or left us into their ranks? These are questions that needs to be asked by the party itself. The issue of disciplining is another matter that, as you rightly put it as part of your question, is central to real unity and not rhetoric. So what is said might not necessarily be what can be done by the party.
Let's talk about President Cyril Ramaphosa, the ANC president. He inherited quite a situation at the governing party. How has he managed what has turned out to be intensive internal squabbles that the party has tried in many ways to keep under wraps, but keeps rearing its head?
Well, it's a softer approach to look at his role thus far. Let's not forget that from 2012, going forward post-Mangaung conference, he was party to the leadership echelon of the party, and then, of course, became deputy president. And it was under that period, his tenure as deputy as well, that things also went haywire. So the question should be asked here, amongst others, is that what was his role in that structure? Was he serving the interest of the Zuma tenure, or was he waiting for his time now that he's been in office for what, 3 to 4 years? And in these 3 to 4 years, what has he done? So it's up to the public really to sit down and say, let's put the scorecard on the table. What has he achieved? And rightly so, he may have, in the commanding seat, inherited challenges and problems, but it is also important that we zoom in and check exactly what his efforts were in relation to issues of unity, in relation to building a stronger organization. It may come to a point of saying he is already trying to balance the politics of appeasement, but somewhat shy on being an aggressive leader in demanding certain things to be achieved.
Yeah, and that scorecard you talk about, we're going to see that the results of that scorecard come 2024. Already a lot of analysis from people in the political sphere saying that it's going to be crunch time for the party and it's going to lose its majority.
Maybe we're asking too much in terms of losing majority, but there will be a serious challenge. Let's not forget, we still await the amended Electoral Act, which rightly so will set new rules of engagement. Who knows? Maybe those who have what it takes in their pockets would want to vie for the top position in the country of being a president, although it's expensive to run such campaigns. So you're right, Michelle. 2024, exciting times for us who are observing and putting eyes and ears on the ground. And let's hope that democracy at the end of the day will be the winner.
Absolutely. And the people of South Africa will be the ultimate winners. Thank you so much for your time. Professor Barry Hanyane joining us there from Potchefstroom on this Reconciliation Day as we continue to unpack the fallout of decisions made within the ANC. This time that leaked report from the party's Integrity Committee around Ace Magashule, the committee recommending to the NEC that he step aside while the corruption allegations against him are finalized. Let's